Welcome back. You're watching Sunday Live. And tonight we're discussing the state of the nation as Kenya turned 50 not too long ago. Where are we as a nation? Are we on course? What are some of the major issues that we've seen throughout the year? And what happens looking ahead in 2014? We have two guests who joined us in studio. I have the MP for Suna East, Junet Mohammed, and of course the MP for Kikuyu, Kimani Ichung'wa. Thank you both for talking to us, for joining us tonight. Let me start with you. Do you think we're on course as a country?
I think we are not very much on course. We've done a bit of good work, but there's a lot to be done still.
What's your key concern?
My key concern is that most of the things that were targeted to be achieved by independence have not been achieved. Eradication of poverty, illiteracy, disease, they have all not been eradicated.
Okay.
So to me, we have not achieved even 50% of that.
Honorable Ichung'wa, let me ask you, you hear that all the time. We talk about the eradication of poverty, as a colleague has said. Is it a fantasy, a dream? Do you think this can really be achieved in Kenya as we reflect on the past 50 years?
Well, it's something that is truly achievable, and it all boils down to the kind of leadership that has been there and the kind of leadership that we now have. And I believe under the Jubilee government, these are things that will be a reality. We may not fully eradicate poverty, but we will drastically reduce the poverty index in this country.
Okay. Do you feel the same way?
No, I don't think, because Jubilee now is almost 1 year old, and I think they have lost on many of the fundamentals.
Such as
security, such as health services. Jubilee have been having strikes after the strikes since election time. We started with the teachers, now is the health service, security, Westgate, many things. So I don't think, at this rate where Jubilee is going at, I don't think they will achieve even 10% of those things.
What's your response? Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Janet, I'll tell you, and the Honorable Junet here would be lying to Kenyans, telling Kenyans that indeed the Jubilee has had a number of strikes. It's Kenyan workers who've been going on strike for valid or invalid reasons, depending on what side of it you look at. And what we need to ask ourselves is, how have these issues that have come up been resolved by government? And I think the teacher strike was resolved and quite amicably and in good time. Unlike in the past where we've seen children also being out of school and teachers suffering for many years. And the commitment by government to resolve all the issues affecting workers across the board.
What about looking at the current strike for the medics? Is that a key concern as well?
Indeed, it would be very hypocritical of Junet here to put that blame on the Jubilee government. Because we as a country in 2010 voted in a new constitution. And we all decided as a country that we want to devolve the health sector to the county governments. And I think the problem that the medics have had is the lack of confidence that they have had with governors. And I truly do feel to an extent where they're coming from, because honestly speaking, some of these governors that we put in government, in the county governments, are people who imagined that they were coming to run there were some demigods, small presidents who are coming to run mini states. And imagine they will run these states as their own personal properties.
Who are you talking about in particular?
I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but I think you can name them, you can count them, and you know them. There are those, I would rather name those who have done very well. The governor for Machakos. I've heard one say that before they do a sit in Machakos, I've done one in my county. But in that particular county, there isn't even a plan of what you want to do. Governor Mutua has been able to do a stadium, I think, in about 3-4 weeks. And brought in revenue to his county when Sekafa Games went there. I think if we had governors who Kenyans would have confidence in, the kind of confidence that Kenyans are showing with the national government,
then you think we'd be making some progress?
Then I think we'd be making progress, and medics would not be on strike now.
Honorable Junet seems to be disagreeing. Is governors the issue here?
Not the governors. The issue is not governors, Janet. First, let me pick it from where he stopped. He said that Kenyans got a new constitution in 2010. The same constitution separated the legislature, judiciary, and the executive. First, it's very wrong for a member of parliament to speak on behalf of the executive, because we are legislators, and our main principal job is to do oversight on the government, is to check on the wrongs they are doing, the excesses they are doing. We're not here to defend any government, because I'm not a member of the executive. I'm a member of government, but through the legislature. Number two, This government has failed in everything, I've told you. Number one, you can see the rise in insecurity. They don't know how to handle insecurity in this country to the extent where they had now to bring military into town so that they can take care of security. Strikes, he's saying that the teachers' strike took only, it was done in small days. Since independence, the strike of teachers that we had last took 2 months, I think 1.5 months. That was the longest strikes ever teachers had in their lives. So if that is how you say that it was done in a good way, number two, the problem we are having in the strike with the health workers, Jubilee is not, they are not for devolution. Because
they're not for devolution.
They are not for devolution. Because the reason being, the transition of many of the functions to counties was supposed to be done in a period of 3 months, 3 years, as by the Schedule 6 of the Constitution. These health services were taken and dumped at the governor's offices. They have never been told how things were going on, how things to be done. They were told, this is your baby, take it.
Okay, so you've outlined some of the things you're upset about.
Yes.
What do you think needs to be done? Who's to blame?
What needs to be done, Jubilee should stop politicking. They should go back to the basics of leading the country, managing and running the country's affairs. Because now we are seeing them going to rallies in Eldoret and everywhere, saying that so-and-so didn't get this, so-and-so got this, so-and-so. That is not the business of Jubilee at the moment. The business of Jubilee at the moment is to deliver to Kenyans what they promised, unless they were doing PR during the election time.
Your response?
I think, Janet, is only honorable for the Honorable Junet to be truthful with Kenyans. When you say that the Jubilee government is just politicking, talk about the question of security, and you have got a problem when the Jubilee government tells you that Nyumba Kumi has worked across the East African region, in Tanzania, in Burundi, in Rwanda, and even in Uganda. And their own leadership comes out to oppose that Nyumba Kumi policy. And the Jubilee government is just being proactive in trying to enhance the security system. Look at the question of having to get our army from the barracks to go and restore security in northern Kenya, Moyale, Marsabit, and Isiolo. Which other government has had that kind of challenge and taken that bold step that if the police are unable because of the topography of this area, and we have got the military that is just sitting in the barracks, why not use them? And I think I was talking to the Honorable Francis Chachu from Marsabit, I think Moyale, who is a member of the CORD coalition. And he told me it took less than a week to restore order in his constituency when the military checked in. It's therefore very hypocritical of the CORD coalition. Let me say this. It's high time that our counterparts in CORD accepted the reality that the Jubilee government was given the mandate to lead this country by the Kenyan people.
Do you think that's what the issue is, that there's...
No. I think this man, my friend the MP, is taking us back. We are not discussing here who is government, who is not government now. CORD knows very well that they are opposition of this country. And we know that Jubilee is the government of this country as we speak today. So we don't need to discuss that. Number two, you can't say that military is in a civilized country. We expect the police to do their job. Homeland security is in the mandate in the hands of the Kenya Police Services. We expect the military to be deployed to places on exceptional cases, like maybe what's happening in Turkana, what's happening in Mandera, such kind of things. But when you see the military being deployed in major towns like Nairobi, so they can fight terrorism, they can fight drug abuse, they can fight, that tells you that the police system has collapsed. The president has no confidence in the Kenya Police Service. They have failed him. That's what he's telling us. Number one. Number two, the Jubilee government must come clear on how they want to handle the security of this country. You can't just wake up one morning and say that we are bringing Nyumba Kumi. You've not told the people how it works, how it's meant to work. You know, if it worked elsewhere, it may not work here. But we are seeing that to be political because maybe that's a gimmick of 2017 elections. Why don't you come open and tell Kenyans Nyumba Kumi is going to operate in this way so that people can own it instead of bringing it down from the...
Do you feel as though people are overcritical about the Jubilee government? And do you think it's still early days before people begin to see the kind of work and what he's talking about, the kind of development?
Let me tell you, Janet, there's nothing about people being overcritical of government. And any government that is in government should expect to be criticized. But I would rather that criticism be very honest, very honest criticism. criticism that are just based on politics and wanting to settle political scores, what we'd call out of political expediency, is criticism that will never help this country to move forward. That is why I say it's very hypocritical of the CORD leadership, right from the top, to start opposing Nyumba Kumi. You've heard my colleague here saying that we should have come out, government should have come out to explain to Kenyans how this Nyumba Kumi policy will work. And that is precisely what those in the provincial administration have been doing. I am aware because I have seen it in my own constituency. The county commissioner, the chiefs, the DOs, going out and conducting barazas in the villages and explaining to people how Nyumba Kumi is expected to work. I would rather you are given an opportunity to implement that. And if it does not work, let then CORD come to us that time and tell us this did not work. Okay. It's also very hypocritical of Junet here to tell us that it is wrong to deploy the military. Would we rather leave Kenyans to kill each other for another 5 months? Then that time they can come round and start saying this Jubilee government is not doing anything on security. You have got the military, you have got the police. I think you only need to believe in this country and know that we are under-policed. And if you're under-policed, and we cannot employ the number of police officers that we need right away, it's only fair that we use the National Youth Service if we can use them in certain situations. I've seen Governor Kidero doing a lot of good work in Nairobi with getting what they're calling traffic marshals, instead of overstretching the police. Therefore, give credit where credit is due. And that's why I said the Jubilee government promised the people of this country that never again, and I'll take the case example of the coast region, never again shall we come here to campaign on title deeds. Within 5 months, the people of the Coast Province who have not had titles for the last 50 years, within 5 months of the Jubilee government, they were able to get titles. The free maternal care was there within the first 100 days. I think those are the things we need to be looking at and be honest with ourselves.
All right, let me okay, you can answer, then we'll move on to the next. Yeah, sure.
What my friend is saying here, I don't think they are on the ground, Janet. Reason being, I've agreed that the military can be deployed on certain exceptional cases like Turkana, like Mandera, but you can't deploy the military to do homeland security inside Nairobi town, as they are planning to do, to fight drug and such kind of things. Number one. Number two, we are 1 year old now since the elections, almost. Devolution has not taken off. Why? Because this government does not believe in devolution. They want to still continue with the old order of centralized system of government. That's why he's talking here about chiefs, DOs, and DC. Those are long time things of Kanu. We don't want to hear about chiefs at the moment in this country. Number three, maternal health care. Pumwani is almost closed every day. Strikes. Who gives? I don't see any free health care in this country, to be honest with you. Security is skyrocketing. Food prices, commodity prices have gone up since Jubilee took over power because of the VAT Act, you know that. I don't think, unless he's living in Jupiter, in another place, if he's living in Kenya with me.
Let me let you answer that before, because we need to move on to other discussion points.
Let me tell you, it's just characteristic of Junet and other members of the CORD coalition to pass the buck and say nothing has really changed. I think if we are honest and we live in this country, we know that a lot has changed. And a lot will still change. It's very early, 1 year down the line, I think. It's actually less than a year. It's about 8-9 months. The Jubilee government has done very well. You cannot, for heaven's sake, blame the Jubilee government for when fuel prices go up because of the global markets of oil. You cannot blame the Jubilee government that we are deploying the military when international terrorism checks into town. What do we do? If we have the military barracks in Kahawa, in Langata here, and that military can come into Westgate and assist.
All right, so you're saying you can't blame the Jubilee government. Who does the buck stop with?
Yes.
The buck stops with all of us as Kenyans. But definitely for those of us within the Jubilee coalition, we definitely have a larger stake because we did promise Kenyans that we will deliver on certain things that we put in our manifesto. And I think I would rather the CORD coalition dwells on that. What is it that is there in the Jubilee manifesto that we have not implemented? Something that we said we will do in 100 days that we have not done. Of course, except the laptop project, which is there for a reason. And I think the ministry has come out clearly to say why that has not been done. The strike Junet has spoken about on healthcare, I think that's a matter that you really cannot blame the Jubilee government.
Okay, so who does the buck stop with then?
Let me finish on the teacher strike, because he mentioned the teacher strike. The teacher strike, if you looked at the issues that revolved around the teacher strike, and the elections that are going on around this time with NAT, those two are very well correlated. And that is why that strike took forever. Because people were using that strike to campaign for the positions in NAT. And I think it's rather clear now.
Janet, definitely the buck does not stop with court. Because I'm not the government. I'm the opposition. And my main business is to tell Kenyans where government is going wrong. Number two, when we voted in President Kibaki in the year 2002 under NAC, we achieved many things in a very short time. A time like now, he had done free primary education where millions of children went to school. He has started doing infrastructure improvement. You remember the economy was down at that time. It was running at a negative. Now he brought it back to 5–6% in a short period of time. I'm telling you, 8 months down the line, Jubilee have not implemented even one thing of their manifesto that they told Kenyans. One single item. They told that come January, children are going to have laptops in their schools. They could not even do the tendering system of that laptop. What are they telling Kenyans? They told us they're going to build 5 stadiums for Kenyans. One in Eldoret, one in Nairobi, I don't know where. None has taken off. Just a minute, I'll give you time to speak. Now, this gives you a scenario, you see that it's a government that's confused. It's a government that does not know where the head is and where the tail is. It's a government that's still busy dividing things as they agreed at during the election time, that this is yours, this is mine. It's high time they stop this business. And if they didn't agree, or they have agreed on anything, let them tell Kenyans that we have agreed on this, and this is the way we are. And number two, when they talk about, I didn't get this, you didn't get this, where are the other Kenyans? This country belongs to 42 communities. There are even other communities that I know that voted for Jubilee, like my ancestral county, like Mandera. They voted 99% for URP. They have not gotten anything. Today I was reading them complaining in the newspaper on an article, my ancestral county, where my grandfathers came from. Now, this is a country that's, you know, they used to call the Raila and the Kibaki government Nusumukati. This one, me, I call it Maragu and Mahindi. Two food together, Maragu and Mahindi.
He's saying 8 months is a bit too soon to bring in this kind of criticism. You're saying there's a lot more that should have been done since the elections.
You know, Janet, Waswahili wanasema siku njema huonekana asubuhi. If you don't see anything happening in 8 months, you don't expect anything happening in the next 3 years.
An unfair
I think, Janet, that siku njema huonekana asubuhi. He's put it very well. Siku njema huonekana asubuhi. He said there's nothing that this government did, the Jubilee government did within the first 100 days. I've enumerated for you the free maternal care, which Kenyans know that is happening. If it is not happening in Suna constituency, he should tell us what is happening in Suna. But I can tell you, even in his own constituency, because I have been there, it is happening. Mothers are delivering there for free of charge. It is happening in my constituency.
You're shaking your head.
All other constituencies across the country. Let me tell you, Janet, when you say that we promised a number of stadiums, we did not promise a number of stadiums within 8 months. Hold your horses and give us time. Ask us in 2017 whether we have delivered on those stadia or not. When we promised the people of Coast Province title deeds, we have given those title deeds to them. When we promised the children of Kenya laptops, I have said it here. The ministry, if Junet lives in this country, he will know.
We have a few more minutes.
The Ministry of Education has come out clearly and said, after they procured these laptops, considering the budget that was there, and I'm sure he would have wanted government to rush into this project so that we make mistakes in the procurement process and they will say this is corruption. Let me also answer the Honorable Junet on what is called, because I know he suffers from and his colleagues in court suffer.
Your last words, yeah.
From the hangovers of the Nusum Kata government. This government, I think the president and both the president and his deputy have said it clearly, that this is one government under one leader, who is Uhuru Kenyatta, assisted by his deputy, William Ruto. And the rest of us, including the Honorable Junet, I've heard him say is in the opposition. I think we are members of parliament who are to oversight that government. And we are doing that, we are playing that role of oversighting that government. And when we criticize, I think it's only honest and fair, that
Okay.
we criticize based on empirical facts and data.
All right, your last words,
Yeah,
please.
Janet, if we do our ratings up to today, Jubilee government and Nusmukati government, I can tell you the Nusmukati government did far much better than Jubilee. Jubilee have been fumbling on anything they want to do. Let me tell you something about the title list he's talking about that he has given to coast people. You know, this Jubilee government is living in the old days. We have a new constitution. The mandate of giving people title deeds have been given to the National Land Commission constitutionally. So I don't see why someone should go to coast and put it as though he's doing them a favor by giving them their right. Getting a title deed is your birthright. It's not something any favor doing. And number two, we need to believe in institutions. If the Constitution has created National Land Commission, we need to believe in it. Let it function. Let it perform. Don't take their functions, and later we become a country that believes in an individual and not in an institution.
Okay.
So let us give the National Land Commission their mandate that they have been given by the Constitution of Kenya.
All right.
So it's unconstitutional for any leader of Jubilee to go to anywhere and issue land title deeds.
Gentlemen, your final words as we wind up. Your final words, please.
My final word would just be one. That one, it is not Uhuru Kenyatta or William Ruto who issued title deeds. Those title deeds were issued in consultation, actually through the National Lands Commission. And therefore, he's only forgetting conveniently so that Raila Odinga was Prime Minister for 5 years. James Orengo, a member of his party, was Minister for Lands for 5 years. Most of those title deeds that were issued now, about 60,000 title deeds, had been stored up somewhere in Athi House. He should not tell us why they did not do that then. Because we are waiting for the next elections to still go back to the coast and use the question of land and title deeds to hoodwink the coast people that is only their government that can deliver on that. And I think mine finally just to ask all Kenyans to indeed support this government, because the Jubilee government needs everybody's support. And I tend to agree with Junet on one point, that this government is not a government that represents certain communities alone. It's a government that is there for all Kenyans.
For all
a
Kenyans.
Government that will serve all Kenyans without favor, and without really looking back at where you voted, and that will be done.
Okay, thank you, Mheshimiwa. Your last
Thank you, Janet. My last words like this. Actually, he said that Raila and Orengo should have issued title deeds to coast people. I don't think that was the business of Raila and Orengo to issue title deeds. Title deeds are known where to be collected from. They are land registries. There are registries in Kwale, there are registries in Kilifi, there are registries in Mombasa City. So you go to those registries and collect your title deed. You don't need to be shown like I'm doing you a favor. Vote for me because I'm giving you something that belongs to you rightfully. Number one. Number two, we will support the government, as he said, where they are right. And we will tell Kenyans where they are wrong. We will not keep quiet, because that's our job as an opposition, as a court coalition.
Okay.
And lastly, I agree with him also. This government is showing a picture of belonging to two regions. They need to go out of that and engage all Kenyans, because ordinarily a government is supposed to belong to all Kenyans after elections.
Okay.
So they need to tell us what we are seeing now is not a government of all Kenyans.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. I think it's certainly a discussion that needs to continue. A lot of other subject matters, but just wanted to get your feel on the state of the nation. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.